But yeah, Future versus Cure potential. We have Hero versus Pig currently ongoing. I believe that is being casted by some of the other casters as well. Being covered by some of the other broadcasters in English. But we have our own series. We have a ZvT. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left, we have his opponent. We have the American Terran, the blue Terran player representing Apprentice Esports. It is DisReSpeCT. Not a doctor. Not a doctor. But I guess to very quickly go over some of the results in the bracket, just because we didn't really have too much time for it. We have Hero versus Pig currently ongoing. I believe that's being covered on Pig's own channel. We have Clem versus Applejuice, which is about to start. It is being covered by Enki and Rocklets over in their own respective channels as well. Meanwhile, Björn waiting for the winner of Jason versus Wayne. Ooh. Very juicy series. I would love to get into some Jason versus Wayne action. Meanwhile, we have our own series as well. It is DisReSpeCT versus Dark. The winner plays against Trigger. So, it's going to be very interesting open. Oh, we are on Golden Aura, of course. Of course. So the winner of the series will be facing off against Trigger. Meanwhile, winding it back a little bit, there's a reasoning for this. So, I was speaking about how on Golden Aura you can get some really secure bases early on because they are so close together, and that is true, and that is why Dark is opening up Gasless. Golden Aura is one of the few maps where you, as a Zerg player, you can open up Gasless against Terran, and even Protoss as well. So we're going Hatch, Pool, Hatch. No gas. Dark would do this on Neo Humanity in the previous map pool, and Golden Aura has certain aspects and certain features similar to Neo Humanity. Basically, the fact that because these bases are so close together, you can defend with only queens. Not just the proximity of these bases, but the how narrow these entry points are. Here and here, they're just very narrow, very difficult for Hellions to rotate around and bypass the queens and actually get economic damage done, which means you can actually defend against Hellions without Lings. Now, we do have a couple of Lings on the way for the first Reaper, at least. There we go, the Reaper is going to be dealt with. But again, you can cut Lings later on and just rely on Queens to defend and just focus on drone production. Ling speed is not a necessity here early on. And it's Dark. He's probably going to skip Ling speed anyway. Oh! As drone almost goes down. But Dark is most likely, once he gets saturated on two bases, he's going to go double gas and go straight into Roaches. It's typically how Dark approaches games on Golden Aura. As Reaper does back off. Back at home, we do have DisReSpeCT, of course, going into a relatively standard opener. It's going to be 3cc into Starport, looking like 3cc Banshee, so nothing too fancy here, just his Rax, his initial Reaper into Hellions. Is Reaper getting eyes on the fact that the third base is already done at this point, very early on, and I'm sure he can piece together that it was gasless. As we still have 0 gasless here from Dark. He wants the tuber! Up! And he is going to get it. A good pick off here from DisReSpeCT, sniping that tumor and getting the hell out of there. Behind this, we don't have an add-on swap actually. There's no tech lab here for an add-on swap. We could just go for a Viking and go straight into a BC, for example, from here. But no, it's going to be a Liberator. So Hellions and Libs. I'm not too fond of this on this map, but we'll see. We'll see if he can pull this off. The goal here is for the Liberator or the Hellion to either one distract the Queens and either one get damage done. But on a map like this, it's going to be difficult to bypass the Queens and deal any significant economic damage here. Meanwhile, 2 gases are being taken, and there's that Roach Warren. Again, Dark on Golden Aura, he's very fond of going gases, skipping Link speed, just going straight to Roaches. Very efficient here out of Dark. Stim is on the way behind this. Liberator has arrived, and we're moving out. So the Liberator is going to be going for the main base. Ideally, the Liberator pulls Queens out of position, and then the Hellions can sneak into a mineral line, or vice versa, where the Queens are kept busy by the Hellions and the Liberator gets damage done in the main. That is the goal here. A bit of a 1-2 punch out of DisReSpeCT. Behind this, we have additional Raxes. 30C is already done, of course. We should be landing it soon, momentarily, on location. as the Liberator is coming in. We do have an additional Queen coming into the main base. No drones are killed. At the same time, the Hellions, they are active, but they don't find a way in. The creep here is a little bit too good, and he does clean up some of the tumors. Well, that was the Lib! Stuck on a move there, takes some extra hits, almost goes down, but DisReSpeCT will keep it alive. He will back off. And he maintains his units. Meanwhile, Dark, he's now working on a 4th base, taking additional gases. Droning up quite heavily, working towards 1-1 and an infestation, but Dark is getting away with quite a lot. Being very greedy, very tech heavy. And again, this is something that you can just get away with here early on. Especially against something like a Hellion opener or a 1-1-1. If this was more bio heavy and more marine focused, then it would be a little bit more difficult for Dark, but he's okay defending with the bare minimum. Now we have the 3rd base being taken. Meanwhile, Dark, he's actually not going for 1-1. I assumed that this would be +1 range, but no, it's melee. So Dark, he only opened up roaches to survive early on, and he's going to be transitioning into Lingbane. There's that Bailey Nest. So Lingbane is coming up next, Lingbane Roach Ravager as the army composition. We have the Infestation Mid on the way for safety infestors if we need them. Again, the infestors are only if you believe your opponent's being aggressive. And for the time being, I believe, yeah, we only have 5 Raxes here. We're getting our 3rd saturated. This isn't a bad map for 8-Raxing. And if you're wondering, an 8-Rax, an 8-Rax is a 3-base all-in from the Terran, which has quite a lot of power behind it. And again, there is potential for that. But for now, DisReSpeCT, he's actually taking his gases, okay. He's just saturating his 3rd, taking his gases, which means he should be working on a 4th CC. Should be working on a later game. Very macro-oriented here out of DisReSpeCT. I love it. He's respecting Dark quite a bit. Or he wants to challenge himself in a way. Not being very cheesy or cheeky or overly aggressive. Straight up macro here against Dark. Let's see, DisReSpeCT just trying to set up here on multiple fronts. 2nd factory's on the way. Again, we can afford double factory production, especially with these gas geysers. We should be seeing a 4th CC soon as well. Meanwhile, Dark, he's taking up into a hive. This is the scary thing, is that Dark has identified that he's going to be safe, and DisReSpeCT has been very passive, even with this double drop. Even with the drop play, usually would be like, you know, killing creep tumors and going for overlords, trying to get some economic damage done. But the reality is that DisReSpeCT has been very passive, and Dark, he's gotten away with more than he should have. And the Hellion dive, where we go deep onto creep, and we're going to get surrounded, completely shut down. The Hellions will fall. Adrenals on the way. Bailing speed as well. 2-2. Vipers. Dark, he's on 80 workers. He is set up for the late game at this point. It's like Dark has everything he could ever want. And DisReSpeCT has been stuck at home, and this is, a really rough position. He's throwing down 3 more Raxes, so he's going up to 8 Raxes here instead of a 4th CC. But it feels like this is a little bit disjointed. A little bit middle of the road here, where DisReSpeCT, I feel like if he wanted to 8 Rax, he could have been more aggressive earlier. And it feels like he has slowed himself down a little bit. To be fair, in favor of slowing down, he does have a higher tank count. But we already have Ultras on the way. Dark, he's maxed out, and I mean, he doesn't want to push in, but there's that 4th CC. Okay, so yeah, DisReSpeCT, he's just working on a 4th base. Maybe he's hoping that Dark overextends pushing into this defensive position, but there's no reason to. Dark, he just has to chill, take more bases, and deny the 4th. Whenever possible, just contain DisReSpeCT to 3 bases. As soon as DisReSpeCT tries to take a 4th base, that's when he exposes himself, that's when he spreads himself thin, that's when Dark can punish him. But now we even have Vipers. Oh! Again, with these Vipers, we can Blinding Cloud. We can break this position. And we're just going for it. Blinding Cloud's covering every single tank. We just roll on in. And we roll over the Terran army. Every single tank goes down. And Dark may not have had enough to break the 3rd. but he breaks the army, and now Dark, he can back off, remax, rebuild, do it again. 106 Lings in production, and DisReSpeCT is in a really difficult place. And this is a good example of what happens if Dark is left to his own devices. Dark hasn't lost any drones. He's lost 3 drones apparently. 3 drones to maybe the Liberators earlier. But like barely any economic damage was done. Dark has been free to spread his creep, take bases, saturate, tech up, do whatever he wants. And that's why he is snowballing out of control. That's why things have just escalated very quickly, and the army is broken once again. Dark going to be rolling in towards the 3rd base. The SCVs are going to get the hell out of here. Oh, we do save some of them. Shout out to this Medivac, saving whatever we can. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. GG. Again, a very powerful performance there out of Dark, but a lot of respect to DisReSpeCT. I mentioned it earlier that when you're up against, when there's a skill gap, when you're up against one of the best players in the world, like Bjorn or Clem, MaxPax, Hero, Dark, Maru, I think it's very tempting to like be like, okay, well, you know, let's do whatever we can to win here. Let's go for some cheese, go for some aggression, go for some proxies, go for an all-in. We didn't see that out of DisReSpeCT. Here, he went up against Dark, and he's like, okay, you know what? We're playing this out. We're going straight up, Poppy, and yeah, I do respect that quite a lot here. Do appreciate it. So it looks like we're going to be joined by some of the other casters. Looks like Artosis and Dave are getting involved as well, just letting them know as to what the score is, and we're getting into game number 2. Vámonos. DisReSpeCT, respecting? True, like, as, you know, considering his name. He just played straight up against Dark, and yeah, I appreciate that. Obviously, it's something that is difficult to accomplish, especially with how passive DisReSpeCT was, but we'll see now how things change in game number 2. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Hardlead, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Z Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Terran representing Apprentice Esports. It is DisReSpeCT. He's saying exposed himself. Well, Dark wanted DisReSpeCT to expose himself, but Dark, he got a little bit too excited. He just went in anyway. He's an animal, Pop. He's an animal. Oh my god. And I mean, hey, it worked. He got away with it. And now Dark is going to be more aggressive. And again, Dark, so far, the way that he's been playing is very indicative of the map. So, game 1, Golden Aura, gasless. You can get away with gasless openers on Golden Aura, as we explained earlier in the previous game. Here on Hardlead, short rush distance. Very short rush distance. We see a lot of aggression and a lot of all-ins on Hardlead. And Dark going for a pull first. Going pool, hatch, gas. Going to be for early Lings. This could even lead into an early Roach Warden as well. Dark, he loves his roaches. And I do think that we're going to see a very different Dark here in game number 2. Game 1, very greedy, very tech heavy. Here in game 2, 6 Lings are on the way. Show us where we go from here. There it is. There's the Roach Warden. Again, this makes plenty of sense. This is very popular on Hardlead for good reason. For good reason. And that is because of the short rush distance. Meanwhile, DisReSpeCT, he's going for a Rax Expand into a Reaper. No SCV Scout. That's worrisome. No SCV Scout out of DisReSpeCT, which means he does not see the Lings coming across the map, he doesn't see the delayed hatchery, and he doesn't know about what comes afterwards with this Roach Warren. Now, there is a Reaper at least, but these Lings should be forcing the Reaper back home. If the Reaper comes back home to defend against the Lings, that means he won't be able to scout the follow-up, he won't be able to scout the Roach Warren. It's one or the other. It's catch-22 here. Here we go. The Lings are arriving. We have Marines back at home. Reaper confirms the lack of droning here at the natural, and the Lings, they go straight for the Marine. Oh, boys are being pulled. The Marine does survive. So far, a decent defense here from DisReSpeCT, but the Reaper doesn't go into the main base. Is going to be left idle. One of the Marines does survive. Good control here so far. We still get a delay on the CC. The Lings are being cleaned up, and we don't lose any SCVs. Oh no! I spoke too soon. Marine goes down, SCV as well. Roaches have been spotted. DisReSpeCT now knows what's going on. We need a bunker on the high ground. Cyclone is on the way. Roaches waddling across the map. Behind this, Dark is droning. He is not all in. He's opening up aggressively, but he is droning behind this. And depending on how much damage he gets done, Dark, he can go into a third and then go for a later strong timing here with 1-1. Roaches have arrived. Cyclone, likewise, though, going to be able to force them back. We do force a cancel on that bunker. But Dark, he is denying mining here on the low ground. He has high ground vision with this Overlord. He is looking to pile down whatever he can. Depots, reactors. We'll pile it all. Again, the Cyclone is a nice addition, but yeah, we do have to back off here. Bunker is going to be delayed. Decent lock on that Overlord. So far, Dark hasn't lost anything. Oof. As he even takes down one of those SCVs. The reactor is burning. One of the roaches finally goes down. And we don't get the reactor. Oh my god. Again, so far a good defense here from DisReSpeCT. Not losing anything. Does lose 3 SCVs though. But he cleans up the roaches and the ravagers. DisReSpeCT will hold. And again, a pretty good to hold overall. It wasn't the cleanest hold, but a good hold nonetheless. He's going into a third CC after the 1-1-1. Meanwhile, back at home, Dark has been droning. And what's important is that even though Dark didn't kill the depots or he didn't kill the reactor, he didn't kill too many SCVs, this is all true, but he did deny mining time. He contained DisReSpeCT to 1 base economy, and Dark is working on his third, and has just been, now fully saturated on 2 bases. So Dark is still in a good position. Now he's catching up. Link's speed is on the way. Soon, I imagine a lair is going to be on the way as well. Meanwhile, DisReSpeCT is not going mech. He has Cyclones from map control to survive, but he's going into additional Raxes, going into a bio-heavy composition. Ooh, and Dark, he's cutting workers. This is what I mentioned earlier about how Dark, he's going to be droning behind this and then going for another strong timing. This is typically what Dark does on 2 bases. He has a third, yes, but he's not droning. He's going to be pushing here with Link Speed and with Roach Ravager. And DisReSpeCT is going to have significantly less to defend, especially because he's moving out with a drop. Now, hopefully this tells him what he needs to know. As the medevac drop has been revealed, he does spot the Lings moving out. And back at home, we need a bunker on the low ground. We're throwing down a wall, but the Ravagers, they're already here. The Ravagers, they have arrived. We cancel the wall. Lings, they flood on forward. They get a surround on the Cyclone. Cyclone is going to go down. Here come the reinforcements. We do have 2 more Cyclones coming in to reinforce, but alas, the natural's being broken. 10 SCVs go down. And finally, this reactor and the depot will fall. As we bust into the main base, there's 1 Cyclone left. And Dark, it's too much, Papi. It's just a little bit too much. We had a good initial hold, but afterwards, DisReSpeCT was a little bit too greedy. He got a third CC. This could have been money invested into defenses, into his production, into his army. And GG is going to get called. Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the quarterfinals. GG. GG, well played. Dark will take it again. 2 different sides of Dark in this series. The first one, very economic, very greedy, very tech heavy. Game 2, very aggressive and very all in instead. GG, well played. As Dark will take it, and he has his next opponent ready and waiting, as vetoes will soon commence. It's disrespect. Not a doctor. Not a doctor. But we are going to be getting ready for our next best of. We're going to be following Dark into the quarterfinals. And up next is Dark versus Trigger. Let's go.